Imagine a world that you could do something that you want to do, that you would have access to the person that is the most powerful person on earth, the President of the United States, and you had 5 minutes to talk to him or her about uh, whatever is going on. Now, I'm going to stay because right now we have President Trump is in the White House. I want to ask you, the subscribers out there, the people that are going to watch this movie or this video, what would you do with that 5 minutes? And let's not be flippant and say that you would sit there and just curse him or all this other stuff. What would you really want to do? And we want to do something for him as well. We don't want him to be in trouble if I go in there and I start spouting out alt-right stuff that I don't want him to be get in trouble for it and get impeached because what I have to say. It would have to be, the scenario would have to be you and him where nobody is really listening, and you just give him 5 minutes of your beliefs, and he can actually listen to what you have to say. And at the end of the day, he can just say you're a fool for bringing here or whatever you have to say. But I want to put that out there, and those who actually watch this channel, just put in the comments below what you would do in that 5 minutes. And I'm going to tell you what I think I'm going to do if I had that 5 minutes. And in a way, I wouldn't want to be to where I'd be cucking out. I would actually tell them exactly what I think the issue is in the United States and how we can do better with it. At first, after the presidencies, and we just actually start talking to each other, and he asked me an opinion about stuff, I would say, I think you need to fire everybody around you. And that means family members as well. His daughter should not be involved in the administration at all. Certainly not her husband should not be involved. And there's reasons for that who watch this channel. There's way too much Jewish influence in the White House, and it's been that way for a long time. It's just not for Trump. But we kind of thought when he was in power that he would not be bought, let's say, because he has all this money. But the influence really hasn't changed much. In fact, in a lot of ways, it's gotten worse. Seeing the image of him at the Wailing Wall and I know that Obama was there too, and Bush has been there and all that stuff, but to see Trump there kind of disturbs me. And I know he's got grandkids that are Jewish. I understand all that stuff, but we should not allow families. I mean, the first lady, that's all we have right now. We haven't had a husband yet, but I don't really have an issue like doing things like that they do, but his daughter should not be doing stuff, shouldn't have things that she should do, and certainly not her husband. It's no sense, and it's like they're basically running the country. And of course, at that point, after I've just disparaged his daughter, he probably won't want to listen to the rest I have to say, but I'm going to continue to say what I have to say. I say, sir, you understand that we're 62% white in this country right now, and that our people are not reproducing. And the country that your ancestors founded or conquered, or whatever you want to call it, is going to a place that we never wanted to be at that point. And he knows all this because he talks about his dramatic blood all the time. And, I can be very flippant and say, well, your line has been kind of like stained, but the fact it's no longer going to be that anymore. Because I don't want to be in an area that I'm going to continually say bad things to him about his family, because obviously that won't do anything. But these are things he probably already knows. He, as the commander-in-chief, the head of the executive branch, should bring forth programs or ideas that allows, like they did in Hungary, about having more babies, especially if you're citizens of this country. And if it's a roundabout way of getting the white people to reproduce, you do something to tax codes to help people for that. And that should be mandated, not mandated, but it should be something that's been championed. And he should also talk about how important family is and the nuclear family, what that really means, and what he meant when he talked about make a great America great again. These are the things he was talking about during his speeches before he became president. These are things that we've lost in this country. And I've said many times in this channel that we've lost our collective stole of our nation. And so I've said, if I would say to him, this is what's going on, you should fire everybody around you, you should find people, not necessarily to agree with everything you have to say, but they should be on the same page with you. I mean, you should have 5 or 6 policy points that these people should be with you 100%. And these are not over-the-top things like immigration, giving the wall. That should be 100%. Who's ever with you in that room with you should be the same way. When it comes to doing things with a family, should be 100% there. So when I talk about family, we have to also talk about the element in the room is abortion. In the last 40 years, we've killed about 60 billion babies, million babies in the room or whatever. And this has just got to stop. And he already is a pro-life president, but he must be even more, he should be a martyr when it comes to this. He should be the guy that's going to say, I'm going to lose my presidency to make sure that we stop this heinous thing that we do, which is aborting babies in this country. It's so funny when I was a pro-choice person before, and I was the same as a lot of people on the left, and even a lot of Republicans, men especially, that they think that they shouldn't be allowed to judge what a woman does with her body. And we just don't want to get involved with it because this is what guys do, because they know that if we come this way, that it's possible that we never get anything from them. So we don't want to be this way. And if it doesn't really affect us per se, we don't really care. But the left continually talks about that they're the side of the political sphere that is believes in science. Well, the problem is that the science is clear that right after conception, what's formed has its own DNA structure, and within a couple of weeks, it has the features of a human. And I've been very logical, let's say rational, and I'd say we need to stop it after the first trimester. But as I get more and more into this, I think that it should be abolished altogether. When the leftists come back and say, well, you don't want to take care of the babies after they're born because welfare or whatever, we don't want to do that. That conservatives don't want to do that. Again, I don't consider myself conservative. I'm like, why wouldn't be? I mean, I'd rather have them in here and they're being loved, and then they can be part of the community in the United States. Now, again, I really want this about legal people here. Our citizens should reproduce. We shouldn't allow people to come here and keep having babies that are not here legally. That's a different area. That's immigration and the reform there. There's two huge mountains that he needs to die on to make his presidency the greatest ever. Economically, he's already there. He's changed just the tenor of this country and how we look at our businesses and everything now. People want to come here and do stuff. And that's all we knew that Trump was going to do this regardless. That as soon as he became a little bit better for the businesses, that more would come here and would end up helping everybody else. But these two hills is immigration and abortion. And abortion being the family part I talk about as well. It's part of the same dichotomy. It's like if you're going to save the family unit in the United States, that's also talking about abortion reform and immigration to save what the United States is, whatever you think Americans are, to save the culture of America. Has to be the two things that he actually falls down on and said he's going to fall on a sword for this. And he's done it here and there, but he has the ability, and let me get back to the 5 minutes, because obviously I've already talked for 9. So I would have said this, I would have said it in very general terms, but at the end of the day, I would say, sir, you have to be the martyr when it comes to family and immigration. You have to be, because you know how the demographics are looking at it right now. It's going to be rare that we're going to get somebody that might have the opinions of a lot of people in the alt-right, let's say, or somebody who is an advocate for white America, let's say, ever to be in office because of demographics. It isn't going to happen. So you have to be the guy that you might be called. You've already been called all this stuff already, that you're racist. And just by what happened in Charlottesville, when he said there were people on both sides that were nice, that you were still called racist. So I would say you can't really care about that anymore. You got to get off Twitter. I think it's funny, but you need to get off Twitter and you have to just say this is what you're going to do, and they're going to basically have to pull you out of office until you get the legislations through Congress. As far as immigration, there are things you could do already. You can have the Army to go down there and start building the wall, and then you should be down there every time that they do something new down there and film it with you in front of it, and then have the local officials come out and say this has stopped, all this crime has gone down, and you'll get elected doing that. And then the other part is you have to stop this satanic thing of abortion in this country. Like I said before, I've tried to be more rational about it and said most abortions are really in the first trimester, but so many are in the second trimester, and about 2% are late-term abortions. They're still talking about 20,000 kids are being killed when they're fully formed in the woman's, what is it called? Anyway, so this is murder. And when we see things on Twitter and there's a video that goes around, and it's a couple years old, where it shows a baby in the sack, and the woman said it's like 12 weeks old, and she's feeling it and all that stuff, and somebody says, "Oh no, it's not. It's really like 16 weeks," and it's like this is what they do. They don't realize that what they're either way, it's still murder. This is a human that's being formed, and why in this country would they say we have to wait to get outside the body? And now our legislation has already allowed that it's still up to the mother to do what they do if they have a botched abortion. Now, what he did and what Congress just did with their vote, I think it's a stupid vote, because it's this thing that they're going to stop abortions that didn't take, let's say, although it's almost impossible that you cannot kill or fatally killed somebody during an abortion. Now, obviously, late on, and all of a sudden, when you start to do something like that, before they put all the drugs inside the woman where the baby gets killed, and they have to carry it for a couple days, and then they actually have a stillborn, that have all of a sudden that she still wants the abortion and she's still pushing it out, then they have to, what I guess the Republicans are trying to do here, so that we have to save this woman or this baby from the stupid ass laws that are now going through in New York and Virginia, that we have to save that baby once it's out. And like 44% of, or 44 senators that are Democratic voted against that the woman still has the choice after the baby's out, which is, it's evil incarnate. And I've said it on this channel before. And please, tell me what you think below. This is something that I want to actually get some sort of traction on. I'm only getting 20 or 30 people watching my videos. If you like what I have to say here, just share it. And hopefully we'll get 1,000 people to talk about it. Obviously, I'm not nobody. I mean, Steven Crowder have talked about stuff like this, and he gets millions of views. But this is something that we have to, if I can educate just a couple of women out there, or their boyfriends, that say, you know what? If we have a baby, I'm not going to allow you to do it. And I said this on my other video. If you're like in a loving relationship and you have a mistake, let's say, so it happens. This is what my parents told me. I'm not going to say it's true or not, but my mom said he was on the pill. Doubtful, she probably forgot to do it. And apparently, my dad said that the condom broke, and that I was a mistake. And if abortion would have been legal back then, that I would not be here. Now, again, my parents were kind of sarcastic, and maybe they were just trying to get a rise over me. But that shit happens, right? But you have to, at some point, the man has to stand up and say, you're not fucking having an abortion, because you're killing a life that we created. And we'll have to figure out what we're going to do. And if the man is motivated and the woman wants to be a mother, you don't need that much money to take care of the baby. Now, yeah, there's an issue if you go to a hospital and you spend all that money at the hospital having the baby and all that stuff. We can definitely do something somehow to make sure that doesn't happen, especially if you're on 20 or something like that and you don't have jobs and stuff. And I think that that's pretty much covered anyway. I think there's like some sort of insurance for babies like that. I don't know exactly, but I'm more than willing to make sure that that's in the code somewhere, that if you have a baby and you don't have enough money to deal with it in hospital, that the hospital will get paid by the rest of us in the community to take care of it. I'm all for that. and we should still be there if something is wrong with the baby. And I think in a lot of ways we are. I mean, I have a son that's special needs, and we've had probably over $3 or $4 million of health care that we've had that we haven't paid for, because the first time I was in the military, and then when I got out I had TRICARE, and he was covered as well. So other than